Now that you have reviewed the essential resources for this assignment and taken a look at the rubric and the example, I'm going to explain to you what you're actually going to do in this assignment. So under the rationale here, you can see I explain AR, augmented reality, and VR, virtual reality. These are fairly new technologies and their applications in the classroom are growing every day. So we've already talked about lesson planning and the importance of each of the components in the Louisiana Tech lesson plan format and some of the ideas behind making a quality lesson plan. Remember that your learning outcomes must be accessible within the context of the lesson. That's one of the biggest things I'm going to keep saying over and over again. So for this assignment, you're going to follow these links here on Moodle and look at some applications, some augmented reality applications using your Merge Cube and some virtual reality applications. You'll be using your goggles, and depending on what you choose, you might also be using your Merge Cube. So you can look at these apps right here. You're more than welcome to find any other apps that you would like. These are just starting places, but you're going to pick one AR application using your Merge Cube, one VR application using goggles, and possibly your Merge Cube, depending on the app. And you're going to write a mini lesson about how you could use those in the classroom. So choose that on number 2. And here is the actual, let me zoom out some, sorry y'all. Here is the actual assignment. You're going to go in here to this HyperDoc, make a copy of it. Remember, we go to the top left, make a copy, and you will start to fill it in. You'll tell me the name of your augmented reality app and make sure that this uses your Merge Cube. Give me a description of the application and make sure it's at least 50 words minimum. I need to understand what the application does and so that I can have an understanding about how it would be used within the context of a lesson. Then you will write 2 learning outcomes. Don't forget to go back to the lesson planning module and look in there. I have some information about learning outcomes, but remember, learning outcomes must be accessible within the context of the lesson. And you need to use action verbs. I included some of these links in the lesson planning resources, but feel free to look up any lesson planning action verbs you'd like. But that action verb outlines what the student's going to be doing within the context of your lesson, and then you'll assess it down here. So at least 2 learning outcomes. Give a brief description of your learning activity. So tell me how this would actually be used in the classroom. Are your students going to have the app downloaded on tablets that everybody wants? And the sky's the limit. Just imagine your kids have any technology you want them to have. So maybe they all have tablets. So each student's assigned a tablet with a pre-downloaded application for augmented reality on there. The students will use their Merge Cube. They will do X, Y, and Z in the context of the lesson to learn your content using that app. And then down here, tell me how you are going to assess that. Are you going to do a quiz at the end of the day and you ask them questions that'll help measure if you met the learning outcomes? Are you going to have them do a project, group work, anything like that? Sometimes it's just a simple exit ticket. So that's for augmented reality. You can see that right up here. But if you scroll down, there's one down here for virtual reality. So remember I said you're going to do 2 mini lessons, one with an AR app using your Merge Cube, one with a virtual reality app using your goggles. The second one in red down here is VR. So tell me the name of the VR app, give me a brief description of it. Tell me 2 learning outcomes, what your students are expected to learn in the context of the lesson with this virtual reality. Give me a brief description of your learning activity, what your students will actually be doing in the classroom with the app and in the lesson, and then tell me how you're going to assess that. So the only difference between the top one and the bottom one is for augmented reality here in blue, and below is for virtual reality down there in red. Don't forget that you have to submit a link to this doc, share, and set to comment. so that I can view it on Moodle. But you also have to have a visual representation and the required narrative on your portfolio, and make sure it's on your 210 page. So your visualization or somewhere in your narrative needs to include a link to your mini lesson. The basics here are we're taking our knowledge from our lesson planning module before, and we're actually designing two small lessons. We're going to use an augmented and virtual reality app. We're going to go right to learning outcomes, where our students will learn in the context of the lesson using action verbs. And then you will give a brief description of the activities, and you will tell me how you will assess them. As always, let me know what questions you have.